And now here we go for YouTube. Say hi, YouTube.
What's up, YouTube? Ready to rock and roll?
All right, here it goes. You ready? I feel like it's been a while since we've done this.
I know it has.
Yeah, it's been like a whole 5 days, I think.
Let's do it.
Crazy. Here we go. Ready for the podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of
Business Bros.
Ooh,
Where were you guys at on
we
that
got
one?
we got some extras in the house.
We are excited. This is awesome. It is July 3rd, so we do have a 4-day weekend coming up. However, let me just swing this camera around a little bit this way. We do have Visionary Media representing today, so that's really cool. And of course, we are excited. We have an awesome guest, an awesome show planned for you. We have hang on. Coming all the way from Texas to hang out with us today,
Texas.
H-Town.
Mr. Larry White.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr.
Absolutely.
White.
Larry MF White. Oh, we got the sound effects.
I like it. This is what happens when we actually have an audience in the studio.
Right?
I love it. Full house, full house.
So what up, ladies and gentlemen? Hernan, host of the Business Bros podcast, along with my co-host.
The insurance bro, James C.S. with Pipeline Insurance.
And before we get started talking to Larry MF White,
Oh.
I got to give the promo real quick. 365 pairs of shoes, ladies and gentlemen. If you have new shoes, used shoes, or cash donations, hit up James 619-884-0045 or James at csfirst.com. He'll hop on his Harley, the orange one, right over there and pick up those bad boys. Remember, he does insurance, so if you have any of your insurance needs, business, personal, life, whatever, hit him up, 619-884-0045 or James at csfirst.com. You guys ready to rock and roll?
We're ready. You ready?
I'm ready. Cheers,
you guys
Larry.
over here? You guys ready?
Thanks for coming out.
Appreciate it, my friend.
Happy 4th of July.
Hey, starting early.
Happy 4th of July. Happy birthday, America.
Happy birthday, America.
Yep.
So, Larry, tell me a little bit about yourself. Prior to this whole real estate gig, who was Larry White?
So, grew up in Arizona. Man, it's hot.
Yeah.
Hot there. I think about that now when I go back to visit.
Dry heat.
And I'm like, how the hell did I live here? Like, it's intense when you can cook an egg on the pavement. Like, you can cook brownies in the dash of your car. Like, people are like, oh, it got hot here. It got up to 80 degrees. I'm like, no, like, it's not hot. And so, grew up there, went to Arizona State University, and really, like, never left up until about 6-7 years ago. And I graduated with supply chain management from Arizona State and was an executive at Target and was on the fast track to have my own store at the age of about 25. At that point in time, could have been making 6 figures, like, which would have been awesome at 25 years old to be making 6 figures. But man, it was a grind. Like, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, only having 2 days off, working 16 hours a day, and I was like, there's more to life. Like, I don't have a family yet, but when I do, this is not how I want to spend it.
Yeah, I mean, general manager at a store is no joke, dude.
Yeah, it was and when everybody else has the time off is when you have to work, because that's when you make all your money at the store. So my best friend was joining the Phoenix Police Department. He's like, hey, you want to join with me? I looked at the schedule, 4 10-hour shifts, and I was like, golden, let's do this. Like, 3 days off every single week. But I took such a massive pay cut, like going over to go into the public service sector. And so I didn't think about this at the time, but I blew out my knee in the police academy. Shattered my ACL, my MCL, my meniscus. And
Like during training, or you're like playing a sport?
No,
or?
I was doing an obstacle course, and my knee hyperextended 90 degrees backwards.
Oh, no.
It was the worst thing I've ever been through.
Oh, dude, just the pain on that. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I've seen like
Ouch.
football injuries like
Yeah.
that. Those are the ones you kind of
Yeah.
look. Yeah, you cringe.
Yeah, like you see, like or basketball, like they come down and it tweaks.
Yes.
Like, it was the worst thing I've been through, and it was the biggest blessing that's ever happened to me. I didn't realize it at the time, but that's what got me into real estate, because I had bought my first house at the age of 24. Before I moved into it, the market was going crazy, and it appreciated $90,000. And I was like, oh,
I like this game. This
I
is
was like,
nice.
this is how I can compensate for my income, because being a police officer was one of the funnest jobs I've ever had in my entire life.
Beats Target. When you went from working at Target to being a Target.
This is true. But it was fun. It was a rush. And I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie. And so it was a rush every single day. And so then I went to school and got my real estate license because it took me 9 months to rehab my knee. And so I had a lot of
surgery
time.
after surgery, 9 months?
Yeah. To rehab and be able to walk normal again and everything else. And so during that time, the market was so hot. I was reading a lot of books. I was flipping homes, buying and selling real estate, double escrows. And I realized that making money was a really big rush as well. And so at the age of 25, 26, man, I'll be honest, I was super cocky. I thought I had this life thing figured out. I had 5 homes in Arizona, 2 pieces of property in Mexico, probably 6 figures in my savings account. And I was like, I don't understand. I
don't know. What's everybody complaining about?
What's life so hard? And then I learned some really valuable lessons. I paid for my education in different ways because when that market turned, I remembered every book that I read. You mentioned Robert Kiyosaki on cassette tapes, right? It's exit strategy, exit strategy. I remember asking my mentor, like, dude, what's our exit strategy? Really silver tongue. Oh, if we do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. And me being young and dumb, and I was making so much money, like with everybody else, I was like, cool. Like I believed him.
Yeah.
Because it had done very well so far.
Historically.
Right. And then I got stuck with 5 homes that were partially remodeled. I couldn't rent them out. I couldn't sell them, and they were depreciating $5,000 to $10,000 a month in Arizona.
Ouch.
And so me being preached to about credit, I started depleting my savings trying to save those homes. There was nothing that I could have ever done to save those homes.
They were gone, yeah.
So I lost everything.
How humbling.
And it was very humbling, but I still knew that I was onto something. And so 2 years into the police department, I was like, no, I can do this. And so I went to my dad, who's actually still a police officer, and I was like, I'm going to go in full time. I'm going to burn my ship, no exit. I'm going to burn my ship and I'm going to do real estate.
Full force.
He's like, what happens if you don't sell a home? I was like, I don't have a choice. I just don't have a choice. I'm burning my ship. Looking back, I took my pension out of the police department, which was at that time $27,000 or something, which was a lot of money for a 26, 27.
You were just going to float, basically, make sure you got yourself in line.
I invested it into a Ponzi scheme. Not that I knew it was a Ponzi scheme. And so it was gone like that.
When shit was bad, it went really bad.
Man. Yeah.
Dude. All right. So, okay. So when did you decide that you were going to go full time? What year was this roughly?
So I got into real estate 2006 because everybody was making money, and I was like, "Oh, me too!"
Yeah.
I want to do that too. And 2007, 2008, when it was jumping off of a cliff, I was like, "I got this. And so I was being coached by Mike Ferry at the time, and young and dumb, I went to my mentors that were closing 20 deals or 100 deals a year. I was like, "What do I do?" They're like, make 50 calls a day. Cool. What do I say? These are the scripts. Do this. And I just kept doing what people told me to. So for the first 3 years of my business, I made 50 contacts a day from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. every single day, cold calling and prospecting. And by the end of my 3rd year, I was at about 60 closings a year. And I realized that I could only close so many deals myself. And so that's where I had to start leveraging, and I built a team there in Arizona and started getting into foreclosures and leveraging foreclosures to produce more business and leads. And I think in our prime, we closed about 322 deals a year.
So let me ask you about the team thing, though, because there's a lot of people who take that route, right? Their production gets to a certain level, then they decide I'm going to build a team, and so they get buyer's agents, so they add admin staff, so they do all these things, and they're closing large numbers. But what was your profit margin like? Because I know a lot of teams, if they're not billed correctly, they're in less than 10% profit margins.
Sure, and so this is where, and So now I actually coach for Tom Ferry, and I coach and train some of the top teams and businesses in the country. So there's definitely a way to do it correctly. I don't believe in having a team with 20 people managing all that and you make $200,000 a year. Like that's
your own production can do better.
Yeah, I was like, why would you take on that liability, that stress, and everything else? Like, there's a lot of ego in those statements.
Tons of ego there.
Like, oh, my team closed $2 million in GCI. Yeah, but how much did you make?
Like, well, think back to your target days. There's some people, who will take a title almost over a raise.
Yeah.
Right? And so that to me is what I see in the real estate world. They're taking the prestige of, we put down, 400 units this year and we're getting awards, but your net was, 150, 200,000.
Yeah. So I can tell you, like, I actually built a really well-established team. I had open house agents because my foreclosures produce so much activity. I can produce 3 times as many leads off of a foreclosure property than I can from a traditional listing. And so investor leads, I had open house teams where I did not give them one lead. Their whole job was to do one open house every single week and follow my system. Coaching's kind of always been in my background, but how do we have this system? So Monday, Tuesday, we're off. Wednesday, you door knock the neighborhood. Thursday, you did all the social media campaigns. Friday, you were going and placing all the signs where they needed to be. Saturday, we had our open house. Sunday, you do follow up with all those leads, and you just do that. You follow that cycle. Yeah. And if you followed that, you could be very successful because we were producing 30, 40 people through each of our open houses at that point in time. And so your database starts building. They go into my database. We have the lead follow-up campaign. So it was a system. Here's the widget, put it in the system, and make sure that it works. And those agents, so I didn't spend $1 on lead production for them, and I was splitting commission with them 50-50.
That's good. That's a good model.
Yeah. So it was great. So I agree with you. So my team was very profitable. If I had a listing agent on my properties, they were handling the calls, doing the work. They were only taking a 25% referral fee because it was an education experience, right? It has to be a value to both sides, and this is where I see teams as lopsided. Most of the times it's one-sided. Most of the time to the team leader, most of the time to the team leader, and so that's why they have such high turnover ratios. Like, if I have somebody on my team, I want to coach them up. I want to teach them to be my next replacement at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely. That's the only way you get free time, right? You have to replace yourself. That goes in it's funny because we're talking a little bit about your target days and the whole corporate structure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pyramid in and of itself. Like, if you're going to elevate yourself in that corporate ladder, you need to replace yourself. Yeah. And it works pretty much in any type of field. Speaking of moving up the ladder, you ended up changing brokerages.
Yeah. So here's my path, right? I started myself, and when I had my huge team, I was a big KW agent, and they kind of preached this profit sharing model. I took 44 agents over to KW, and I was like, oh dude, I'm gonna be out, I'm never gonna have to work again, and learned some lessons. Like, my highest profit sharing check was $238, which was like a smack in the face. It's like, what is this? This isn't what we signed up for. But still, it was a better model for me to run my business under KW than having the liability, compliance, etc. under my own. Mm-hmm. So after I transitioned out of that, I actually opened up a brokerage for auction.com, where we used the auction platform to generate leads. So my team was there. This was when we hosted live auctions. Mm-hmm. And so we would get thousands of people like showing up to these arenas, and our team would come out, and everybody that came out that door, I would have buyer's agents there saying, oh, you didn't get the property that you were looking for. I have a list of foreclosed properties here if you would like to see them. Right?
Boom.
So I opened up a brokerage for them. They decided to get out of the brokerage business. And then I was like the 286th person for Carrington Real Estate Services, and ended up kind of going up that corporate ladder in real estate as well, and helping them grow to around 3,000 agents at the end of the day.
So you've had a history of bringing people on. Like, you've decided early on in your career that, okay, production is great, but training is better.
So here's what I would say. Training is a hard one because there's so much of it out there. It's the people. Like, how do you add value to get the top producing people underneath you? Because they're going to add value to whatever brokerage they go to, and they're going to constantly be shopped. This is where, as a leader, you have to add value to whoever is on your team. That's how you retain them, whether it's a team, whether it's a brokerage or something like that. You have to lead with value. If you're not a value, they're going to find somebody else that is of value to them.
Because they want to elevate their game too.
Absolutely. Nobody wants to just kind of stay at status quo. And then as a leader, like, you have to figure out how to push them without pushing them over the edge, right? Like, and that's the hard part of kind of managing people at the end of the day.
Well, let's face it, the top producers are also type A personalities. So you're dealing with that aspect as well as bringing them something that'll help elevate their game.
Yeah. And this is what I realized. So then after Carrington, when we decided to part ways, I went over to one of my largest clients, which was Zome or Mr. Cooper. At one point, I had over 2,500 listings across the country that I would give out to agents. We would take referral fees, right? So again, just kind of leveraging, how do I talk to one person that gives me 3,000 listings at a time versus talking to 3,000 individuals? Yeah. And so I went to work for them and helped them expand their brokerage. And that contract lasted a year and a half or so. And so I realized that I was actually like taking this time to build everybody else's business. And when we parted ways, I had no ownership. And I was like, oh man, there has to be a better way. And that's what took me to my last brokerage, which was about 18 months ago, where I came on with EXP and started the Powerhouse Realty group over there. And it has been life-changing. In 18 months, I literally have systems in place where my team there in Houston, I launched 6 weeks ago. We've taken 15 listings in the last 6 weeks. Our first open house, we drove 155 people through that open house. And our team has grown to 12 people in the first 6 weeks. And now it's just catching on because people are like, how'd you drive this many people? And so now I have all these systems in place to do that. And 18 months into it, just through being on the EXP structure, one, I'm going to produce my business for free because they have an icon agent program. So top producers can literally, if you hit icon agent status, they gift you everything that you paid into the system back in stock options. Since I've been there, the stock has went from $2 a share to as high as $20 a share. Do the math. If we were at EXP Realty 2 years ago and we hit icon agent status, that means they would have gifted us 8,000 shares of stock. Do you know what 8,000 shares of stock times $20 is?
Ooh, simple math. 160 grand. Yeah.
160 grand. You show me another company that even has the opportunity
to get stock
for an agent to create that sort of wealth, and I'll bring 150 people with me tomorrow. Now, on top of that, add on that you can buy stock at a 20% discount out of every commission, and that's an option. And you have the opportunity to share in the revenue, which has just been a game changer for me, not going back into the corporate world. I produce more residual income in an 18-month time span. I calculated the other day, I would have to have roughly around $3.5 to $4 million invested in the stock market or in some sort of vehicle that's producing 5 or 6% in order to make the amount of residual income that I built in 18 months with zero capital contribution.
Now, we talked a little bit about the profit sharing model. This is not profit sharing. This is revenue share.
Yeah, so this is off the top line. And I've ran brokerages with almost 3,000 people and literally ran in the red with 3,000 agents because of the liability, the overhead, the compliance. And this, I can still have my branding. I don't think that agents should brand a Coldwell Banker or a Century 21 because that can always change. Like, you brand yourself and your values and everything else, And that's never going to change. You can change powered by EXP, Century 21, like all of that can change. But if you're branding this brokerage and that brokerage shuts down, like, oh damn, you got to start back over at that point in time. So I can literally run my business within this structure, less liability, less compliance, less capital contribution, and I can focus on what I'm good at, which is helping agents underneath me produce more business, set up for the next REO cycle, like build teams underneath them, because when I build their teams up, I win as well, right? So it's a really cool structure, and we just have an amazing group that we have some tools and systems that I know nobody else has access to, which is pretty cool.
What do you tell people, when they're coming in and they have questions on this whole EXP model? It's got hit as as its own Ponzi scheme, pyramid scheme. I mean, it's too good to be true. Revenue share. Well, KW has that in profit share. What types of stuff have you heard, and how have you overcome that?
Man, these are all just like, as I've been in scripting for the past 12 years now, this is just.
Uh-oh. That was me.
I'm
like.
This is all just people that are misinformed in my eyes. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, I've evaluated hundreds of different models. I've acquired companies. I've had my own companies. This, provides the most opportunity that I've seen. This is the best option for me. And for all of these people that are naysayer, I'm like, look, how many reasons do I need to show you? I bust out testimonials of new agents that come over, and I give them 167 leads. Like, they have 3 deals in escrow in their first 3 months type thing. Like, look, don't take my word for it. Like, do your own research. Call these people and talk to them. And so I really feel like these people are just misinformed. But this is kind of the difference to me. I don't try and sell EXP. It's not about that. Like, when I'm attracting agents, and this has kind of been my model from the start, I need to figure out what the problem is in your business. If I can figure out what the problem is in your business, I can solve it. EXP is the fastest vehicle to help me get you to your exit strategy. And that's what I tell people. So if you're having problems with lead generation, so if I can help you produce more leads without paying $300 a month to Zillow, does that interest you?
All of a sudden, yeah.
Right? Like,
you got things like KV Core.
Right. And I have agents that are producing 1 to 6 leads a day for free off of the KV Core training that I did. So again, but this is where, people have misinformation, because not everybody has built a company to 3,000 agents. And so they just go out there and vomit everything that they know about EXP. And it's not about EXP. It's not about RE/MAX. It's about, how can we solve these agents' problems? Is it exit strategies? Do they have 401k do they not have 401ks? Is it lead generation? Do they want to get set up in the REO industry? Right? Do they want to use my auction platform that has helped my team take 15 listings in the last 6 weeks? Like, I have to talk to them and pre-qualify them just with any other buyer or seller lead. And that's where most people miss the mark. They just go in like, hey, have you heard about EXP? And that's not my style at all.
Yeah.
I want to know about you. Like, tell me what's going good in your business. Are you on goal to hit, are you on track to hit your goal? Oh, not? Tell me about that.
Yeah, what's stopping you?
What needs to change?
Yeah, that's funny, because that's the same type of strategy you have pretty much with anybody. Mm-hmm. It is your pre-qual script. It is. Yeah, it works the same way. It's just, you never really think to use that with your salespeople.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what's been so successful to me. And I'm definitely not the most successful person at EXP by any means, but I am bringing on a lot of high caliber agents, and it's growing very rapidly at this point in time. And I think there's a reason for that. I may never be the fastest growing person, and I'm okay with that, because this is a marathon, not a sprint to me. And this is where I'm setting the building blocks for 8 to 10 years out, where my wife and I want to have our 5 to 10 acres in Puerto Rico, and we want to have a tiny home community and executive leadership retreats and yoga retreats.
I got a question. You said Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico's a nice little spot.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, is it because of the tax laws that are super favorable in Puerto Rico, or do you have any other reason?
Yeah, it's trifold for me. One, the tax reform changed, I think, around like 2014,
mm-hmm.
which made it not beneficial for a lot of major corporations that were out there to be there, so they started leaving. The market was becoming depressed there. The hurricane came in and knocked out the power grid, which took that down another level. And then the last part was I've had a lot of iBuyers or institutions, and so I was talking to one of my clients that owns 800 homes in Las Vegas. He was selling all of his homes there and buying every other commercial building that he could in Puerto Rico. This guy's much smarter than I am. I don't need to recreate the wheel. It's a U.S. territory. You can get financing for it. And in my eyes, I don't believe that you'll ever be able to buy beachfront property at those prices, maybe ever again in our lifetime. So those are the reasons I'm very bullish on it. Same thing, why I don't have that herd mentality. Like, I'm going to buck the system and the man wherever I can. And, I sold my investment properties here in the Southwest because I feel like the market's at our peak.
Mm-hmm.
Average market cycle is 8 to 12 years, and I've been studying this.
12.
Yeah, like you look at 2007 to 19, that's 12 years. Now, I'm not predicting a crash, but I think there has to be a correction at some point, which is why I'm helping align agents for the next REO cycle. But I took this equity, and I went and I bought 11 homes in Ohio in the last 6 months at this point. And those 11 homes, let's say I paid $350,000 for all in, are producing almost $11,000 in cash flow every single month.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even feel like they've hit the appreciation strides yet.
No.
So,
but those places are consistent on cash flow. Like you have a good renters market, Ohio, Alabama,
mm-hmm.
Indianapolis, I think it was Pittsburgh. I was looking at a couple different markets for those types of rentals, and they hit at bare minimum your 1% marker. So you're buying them, and your rent is at 1% of the value of the property.
So I bought a duplex for $54,000. It brings in $1,600 a month in
That's
cash
much
flow.
better than 1%.
It's crazy. And so like so not only do I want to teach agents how to make more money, like what do we do with the money after we make it at the end of the day so that we have options? If the market goes down and production goes down, how are you still feeding your family as an independent contractor?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to go and, get a job working for somebody else. Like that's kind of the goal for me at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, that makes perfect sense. I mean, one of the things that I've learned about EXP when you were talking about rev share is, and you kind of hinted at it already, where you're looking at your residual income coming in, and you're like, how much money do I have to have invested in the stock market at a 4%, 8% return
mm-hmm.
to get that kind of money? The traditional model has always been earn, get tax, put money away, buy real estate, because real estate's kind of one of those golden things.
Yeah.
But even then, how much, you're talking, if you're leveraged, I mean, you went through a leverage point. That's what ended up happening, the last cycle.
Yeah.
So even if you're leveraged on that side, how prepared are you for when the market changes again? Because if you're still leveraged, are you doing it to yourself a second time?
Right. And so this is where, like, I didn't want to, like, all of my properties here had 15-year notes on them. So the cash flow, like, I was maybe making $400 to $500 a month in cash flow. And I turned that into almost $11,000 a month in cash flow. And I think that I love Alabama. I love Ohio. I love Kansas. And there's a few other markets that I don't think have seen the appreciation yet, because these same homes that I'm buying for $20,000 to $50,000 last sold for $70,000 to $120,000. And the hedge funds that I've helped purchase thousands of homes for, like good friends of mine own them and run them. I call them like locusts. They go into a market, they chew up the inventory, they drive the price up. Oh, this isn't a good deal anymore. What's next?
Mm-hmm.
And then they just start hopping. I don't think they've been there yet. So when they get around to kind of that Midwest, I want to have this package of 50 or 100 homes with a bow on it kind of waiting for them, because I'm buying homes. Check this out. I bought a home at a 34% cap ratio the other day. It's the highest cap ratio I've ever. Evaluated in my entire life, and I've evaluated thousands of homes. Yeah. It's unreal. And so this is where, like, on social media, I can't take down everything.
Seriously?
Dude, you're just popular. Popular.
Golly, come on.
This is where, like, I started putting out deals of the day. I was like, look, I can't buy this, but somebody should. Mm-hmm. And this is where, like, I'm teaching people, like, look, there's self-directed IRAs, there's IULs, there's vehicles that you can keep your money secure and borrow from yourself versus a bank, and leverage your money in 2 or 3 places.
Yeah.
Right?
Speak to a professional, because there are certain things where you need to have, be removed yourself, especially when you're doing self-directed IRAs to avoid any penalties.
Sure.
But yeah, their strategies are there. 100%.
And so that's what I've done. Like, a lot of these homes, like, I have money in an IUL, which is an Index Universal Life Insurance Policy. So it's a life insurance policy. It's a retirement plan. And it's been making 8 to 9% a year the past couple of years. It will continue to make that money there. If the market crashes, I'm capped at 0. So instead of going like this with your portfolio, it goes up and over, up and over, up and over. And I can borrow from myself at a 3 or 4% interest rate, and then put it into something like that.
Yeah. So in other words, you're making money on your money.
Yeah. In 2 separate places.
Yeah.
Like, it's bananas. But a lot of people aren't educated on this. And so the next step for our investment, is actually we're looking at putting together a syndication, because I think there's a lot of interest from this. And so our next step is I'm talking to attorneys and other funds and stuff right now, just to make sure that we can do this, but putting together a syndication or a fund where maybe it's a $25,000 investment, but instead of you trying to manage that, find all the resources and stuff, like,
you have a team that's already doing it.
So maybe we raise $1 million, and maybe we can buy 30 or 40 homes with that. We have the property management, the contractors and stuff like that in place. It's a great investment, for the investor at the end of the day, because now we're diversified. Because if you go and buy one home, if it's rented out 100% of the time, awesome.
If it's not,
if it's not,
vacancy rate.
Oh man, that starts eating away. So if we're diversified, so that's kind of our next step, and we're actually hoping to have this figured out by August.
With the syndications, you do need to have groups of accredited investors.
Accredited investors, yeah. There's so we've talked to some attorneys on that. We're looking at SEC laws and stuff, because if you have more than X amount of people. So we're just kind of doing our diligence to see what the hurdles are and what's the easiest way to accomplish everybody's goals at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, with the syndication, you end up going after basically people you don't know, right? That's where the SEC laws come in. Right? Because otherwise you can partner up with, like, your own group of friends, put together a partnership and go out and do that. But you guys are actually looking to get funds, like, open it up, basically.
Yeah. And so, like, let's say you have a brother that I've never met or something like that, and, like, make it very beneficial. And even, like, we could have our own LLC, like, let's say the 5 of us in this room, and we don't have to mess with SEC. But when we start talking into, like, where members don't have a controlling interest in it and how many members we have, then we start playing in some different SEC rules and regulations that we want to make sure that we have nailed down to a T, because that's
backfire that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, well, I got a question then.
Talk to me.
I'm new to EXP, and I'm trying to build a team out. What advice would you give to a rookie coming into this new thing? Like, what's the first step I take?
So I know you're not supposed to answer a question with a question, but I think I have to. There. I would ask you, what value do you bring to somebody else? If you can't answer that question, it's going to be I'm not saying that you won't have success, because you've been successful in everything that you've done from what I've seen and what I've researched on you, but you're going to go through a lot of trial and error. So this is where, when I coach and train people, what is your, If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so if you don't have a goal, like, okay, by 2020, I want to have X amount of people in my organization, it's hard to build a plan for that, right? If an agent wants to do 20 deals a year, I can work the math backwards to figure out how many people they need to contact every single day in order to hit that goal. Then it's up to them. And so your value proposition and your goals come into play on what that looks like, right? If you just want to grow a team, well, man, just start talking to people. Even if you say the wrong thing, like your team's going to grow by a couple of agents, but that may not satisfy your appetite. Your expectations and results might be a little off.
I like that.
Does
So
that
make
sense?
a plan. No, that totally makes sense.
Because your action, like your goals and your actions have to align.
Absolutely.
And most of the time they don't. People are like, the most common answer in real estate when I'm like, well, what's your goal this year? Oh, I want to make $100,000. I'm like, what the hell is $100,000 going to do for you? Like, you make 60 now. The difference between 60 and 100 after Uncle Sam and everything like that is not very, very much difference in your take home.
Well, I mean, well, let me ask you this. When you sit down with people, I find personally that there's two different barriers. There's the one who's going to plan but doesn't take action. And there's the one who takes, goes full force and takes action but never has a plan. So which one would you rather have as far as bringing onto your team?
So I personally would rather the person take action and learn from it. I had this conversation with a very successful client today. She literally makes $600,000 a year in real estate. Like the top 5% of realtors in the country. And she's so hesitant to dropping an ad because she doesn't want it to be worded like that. Perfection is stunting her growth. So I would much rather somebody just be bullish and say, okay, I'm gonna recruit 5 agents this month for my team, and go out there and do it and learn lessons from it and be like, okay, I'm never doing that again. This worked well, and adjusting the plan after that. Versus somebody, I do this all the time and I've learned my lesson. Like these 12, like I was attracting some agents there in Houston for my team. I gave 4 agents each the same 167 leads that I produced off of Facebook. And I was like, you come on with me, like I'll literally give you 167 leads. And people were like, oh, that's not right. Like, what if they're all calling the same person? I knew in my experience that I would be happy if one of them actually called those leads. Because everybody talks about what they want. Are you willing to take the action? The one that actually took the action reported back to me, Larry, I have 8 people that are like getting pre-qualified. I'm taking one out showing homes. I was like, you're the one. Like,
that totally makes sense. Yeah.
I'm like,
let me give you something of value. Show me that you actually valued what I gave you, and now you're welcome aboard.
The others are like, and I'll follow up with them. I knew what the results were already. Hey, like, how did those leads go? Oh, well, I called them. I reached out to them. Like, all of these, they were bad leads. I was like, oh, really? Okay, cool. But you're not going to get very much more of my time. Like, fool me once, like, shame on me, shame on you. I don't know how the whole
fool
thing.
me once. I read that just exactly today. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. No, fool me once, shame on you.
Yeah.
Fool me twice, shame on you.
Yeah, and so I kind of take that approach. Like, I will give anybody a chance, because whether you're a new agent, experienced agent, it doesn't matter. Show me what you can do. I will give anybody the opportunity. Like, that will open the door. Your performance is going to keep you in the door. And when you show me that performance, I will open up a world of opportunities. Most people are not willing to kind of follow through. And so I'll set up a business plan with somebody. If they don't follow through with that, like, they won't have another business meeting with me until they've accomplished those action items.
Dude, that's simple.
Yeah.
Actually. It's pretty straightforward.
Man, I talk about this with, like, literally, I have coaching clients that make 7 figures plus in real estate. We don't talk about, there's not like, like, this is the secret answer to make, like, be successful. We literally hammer on the basics and make sure that their core 4 pillars of business lead generation are functioning and running very efficient every single call. And if we need to tweak or adjust that in order to hit our goals.
What do you talk to when you talk to high producing agents? What does a conversation like that usually go by? I mean, what are those 4 pillars that you're focusing your attention on?
So the 4 main pillars, like I recommend every agent have 4 pillars of business. One is going to be your past client center of influence. Like, are you calling them? Are they in your database? Are you reaching out to them, etc.? If you're not, like, there's no need to talk about anything else, right? And I don't dictate what these 4 are, but these are probably the 4 most common. Past client center of influence, online lead generation. That can be Zillow, Trulia, Facebook, squeeze pages. It's irrelevant to me. Like, what are you producing online? Open houses, right? Because they're free. And then I generally let somebody, like, what other thing are you going to do? Like, what other form do you want? Is this newspaper ads? Is this seminars?
Whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, you just tell me what you're going to do. Once we have those 4, so you have a diversified business plan, now we can create a marketing plan. So if it's online lead gen, how many ads are you posting a week? Because once we start tracking that data, we can see if that's working or not, and we can say, okay, this isn't producing the results we need. We either need better follow-up or we need more ads because we've got to cram more into the pipeline. Past client center of influence. How many people have you called, and how many appointments did you set? If not, maybe it's a scripting problem. So each one of those, when we start tracking the numbers, will identify a bottleneck on where we need to adjust your business plan.
Yeah, keep track.
If it's not measurable, you can't grow.
That's true.
Same with goals. My wife and I, my wife is a little bit hippie, and I'm getting way more hippie as I get older here. And so yesterday was a solar eclipse, right? And this had, like, the moon cycles and all of this, like there was this manifestation that I did with her yesterday, sitting on the beach of Mission Bay, and we were kind of meditating out there. And then afterwards, we kind of wrote down some goals. And so we wrote down some goals, and we realized after it, we're like, man, these were more just like manifestations that we wrote down, not goals, because they're not specific, they're not measurable, there's not actionable, there's no timelines attached to them. So it's going to be really hard for us to determine, like, are we on track for these or not? So they were good starts, but now, like, practicing what we preach, we have to go back and, like, modify those to make sure that we can track our progress to make sure that we're getting the results that we want.
Yeah. What do we say, James? Goals without action plans are just dreams, right?
Yep.
Goals without action plans are just dreams.
And dreams are good to have.
I was going to say, there's nothing wrong with dreaming,
cool,
right?
Yeah.
But if you actually want to make them happen,
this is true.
You got to get a little more specific.
And that's the difference, right? Like, how much leverage is there? And I talk to people a lot about this, man. Like, because everybody wants to be successful, and I put that in quotes because successful might be different for you, for me, to Jose. Like, success is, like, discretionary. So if we create this plan, you have to have a big enough why that gets you to move your ass, man. Right? And so for me, you want me to share my why?
Hell yeah.
So my why is $4.38.
Okay, you're going to have to elaborate on that.
I will elaborate on that. So I had dated my wife, my queen, right? Like, we had dated my last semester of college. And summertime was coming. She was coming back here to California. And we were like, look, if we're both single, like, we don't want to force anything. Like, if it's meant to be, we'll both be. And we both got into other relationships. And I told my best friend them, I was like, damn, that was the one. Like, that was the one that got away. And so my follow-up game is strong, man. Like, my follow-up game is on point. Like, and it always has been. Like, you can ask my wife, literally, religiously, almost every 6 months, she got a call from me. Hey, how are things going? Hey, I'm going to Vegas. Do you want to go with me? She's like, I have a boyfriend. I'm like, oh, is that a yes or a no? Like, I don't really understand what you're saying, right? Like, but it was religious until, like, I had an opportunity. I used to be like a capitalist Republican. since, man, I've changed so much in the last 8 years where there's definitely more things more important to me than money now. And she is like a tree-hugging liberal. And so I was starting a nonprofit called Shoe for Africa, where we collect these used running shoes from like P.F. Chang's Rock and Roll Marathon. We'd package them up. We'd send them to our counterparts in Kenya, and we'd give them to the local tribes and stuff to help prevent diseases that were there. And I was like, look, I don't have feelings. Like, I need your help in doing this whole
I don't
nonprofit.
have feelings.
I love that. I was like, I need your help. Like, help me just like sympathize. I know this is a good thing. I know we should be doing this. And literally within 8 months, like, we were engaged after that, because I was like, okay, never again.
Are you leaving my side?
Am I letting you go at this point? But when we first started dating, so I invited her to help me. I was like, look, go have coffee with me. And this was when I had lost everything. Like, my house, foreclosure, short sale, etc. I took her to Starbucks, and my card was declined for $4.38. The pain, the agony, like the embarrassment, I was like, fuck, never again. Like, I will never feel that feeling again. So now if I wake up and maybe I'm tired, or maybe like I stayed up too late or whatever, like, that is my leverage, because now we have 3 beautiful kids. Like, what if that was to happen at their birthday party, right? Now it's not just shame on me, like, it's shame on my entire tribe and family. And so when I'm like, oh, should I do this? It's like, bullshit, there's not an option, right? And most people's why is not half of that, because it doesn't drive them to do the things that they don't want to do, because that's the only way that you're going to get the results that you don't have right now.
I like that. I love that, dude.
Yeah.
I got asked the other day on the thing that I'm most scared of, or the thing that drives me. And for me, it was, I told him it was my greatest detriment. And it's also the thing that drives me. It's my pride. And that whole $4.38 really reminds me of that sort of thing. I you can have fun with me, you can laugh with me, but when I was younger, if you laughed at me, that was a whole different ballgame. You know what I mean? That's totally different, and I think that's one of the. But it's something that helps me now too. I take great pride in when I'm able to help some of my students reach, like, the light bulb go off in their head. You know what I mean? Like, that to me, that pride, that I will never be in that lower situation. I had a similar situation. I was pretty broke at one point in my life too. I never want to ever have that feeling ever again.
Yeah.
And I love that why. That's a great why. And I like how you named it 438.
Perfect. Like, that number will be ingrained. I've thought about putting a tattoo on my arm, like, but you'll see, like, on my dream boards and everything in my office, like, it's plastered. Like, there's accountability, there's reminders and stuff. And I've had other whys, right? Like, I've had these like $16,000 watches and cars and stuff like that. And when I accomplished them, it was kind of void. Like,
yeah, there's always something else.
It never really, like, okay, so you buy this car, like, well, there's a bigger, faster car. Like, there's a bigger, faster, like, there's a better watches. Like, there's always something more. So if you're not grateful for what you have now, like, it's just more stuff.
Well, I mean, and I've seen vision boards like that. I've even had the same type of thing where my goal is to achieve X, to earn X, or to buy X. Those things, I like your why, because it's not. It is monetarily, but it is a dollar why, but it's so much more than that. It's a feeling. It's a. You don't want to get to that void in your life. You don't want to. You that signifies everything that you want to push forward in your life. That signifies everything. Like, without even saying it, that's, I want to pay for my kids' college. I want my kids to have the best things in this life. I want them to have opportunities that I didn't have. Like, all that is said in that same $4.38.
Yeah. And so, dude, it burns me up, man. Like I start thinking about that. It's like, all right, it's go time. Like, that's where we were joking around Larry MF White, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the alter ego. Like, all right, it's time for Larry MF White, not Larry White Jr., right? Like, it's Larry motherfucking White. Like, let's go. Like, get out of the way. Like, you want to face me, but Like, I'm going this direction. Like, you're either with me or you're not, and I'm cool either way.
Love it, dude. Larry, you were amazing today. Right?
What's that? Oh, yeah, the auction platform. Yeah, dude, I feel like, so I've been working with auction platforms for the last 3 years now. And I mean, it has been such a game changer to offer options to clients, right? So when I teach an agent to sit down in a listing presentation, we give people 3 different options. And we say, well, look, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, like, so at the end of the day, we've talked about what we can do, and there's 3 options to sell your home. Like, I have iBuyers lined up. If you don't want to deal with the hassle of selling your home, let me know. I can get a cash offer to you within 48 hours. Odds are it's not going to be at market value, but sometimes that fits your needs if you have to do something fast. We can list it traditionally, which is what everybody else is doing here in the market. Or we can use this other platform where I have a free 14-day listing package. I market and advertise your home for 14 days. You don't pay $1, and I've been generating 40 to 50 offers on each of the properties, and you don't pay the commission. Which one of these works best for you?
Oh, yeah. I can tell you hands down as a homeowner. Option 3, please.
Yeah, and then if that doesn't work, like, they have so many options, like with those 47 offers, they can accept an offer and move forward. They can reject all of them, or we can go back and counter on any of those. And so it's something that they're like, agents just aren't aware of on how to use it and how to explain it, which is why I've created the scripting, created the listing presentation, and now this is what I've used to take 15 listings in the last 6 weeks, which most agents can't even fathom, right? Like,
well,
some
you've
agents
overcome the number one objection at any listing appointment, which is
commissions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how much are you going to charge? Will you discount your commissions? Like, now, if they sit there and they're like, well, so-and-so said they would list my home for 1%. I'm going to be like, well, why are they charging you so much?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So it's such a game changer. And then it's actually producing results.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we can put on the MLS the list price of our starting bid, which is generally well under market value.
And everybody takes a look at
which
that.
is why we're getting hundreds of people through our open house. So, like, this is what I would tell agents, right? Like, if you're not taking a listing a week, if you're not getting 100 people through your open house, like, we need to talk because you're doing it wrong. And it doesn't have to be that hard. Like, you just need to find out what your client's problems are. As you said, commission is generally the biggest problem. So we've solved that part of the solution.
I'm curious to know how that works. We're definitely going to be talking more.
Yeah. Dude, it's just a game changer. And like, this is where I've been working on it for 3 years. I've helped hundreds of agents do similar type of results. And now I'm testing it myself as I determined I didn't want to go back into the corporate realm. And it's working 10 times better than I anticipated. So now I'm going to these different market areas, and I want to find like that one person that wants to change their business and career, and helping them build out open house agents, right? Take more listings and just kind of go through this process.
Who really wants to build a producing team.
How bad do you want it? Because I have the plan. Like, I have the plan. You just have to determine whether you want to follow the plan or not.
Whoo! You mean here's a map?
That's it.
To get from point A to point Z, all I got to do is take those steps?
That's it.
I like that plan.
Yeah.
Wow. This is why Jose said, you need to meet Larry. You need to sit down and talk to Larry. He's been telling me for a while.
Yeah.
I was like, well, where's Larry at? Well, he's in Houston. Well, it's a hop, skip, and a jump away. What's the flight, like 2 hours, 2.5 hours?
2.5 hours?
Yeah, right? It's not too bad. I think we're going to have to go visit Larry again here soon.
You might. Like, I actually just started a radio show out there. Like, maybe we can reverse it next time.
Let's do that.
I'll have you on the radio show out there. Yeah, we have some interest with a nonprofit on a radio station out there. And, like, the whole goal is to educate the public. So our segment is on financial literacy. And so we host first-time homebuyer classes, like HUD counsel classes, down payment assistance. We do a lot of things just to educate, and I have different like professionals in all the time. So, dude, I would love to have you guys on.
Heck yeah, that'd be cool. Give me a reason to go to Texas again.
Yeah.
You can show us around Austin. Maybe get a ride in that truck. All right, Larry. Let's wind this thing up. I want you to look in the camera right here.
Yeah.
Now, you've given a lot of value for people to take you up on.
Yeah.
How do they get a hold of you?
So you can follow me on any social media platform, and my handle is @LarryMFWhite. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, @LarryMFWhite. You can call me anytime, 602-206-1262, or you can email me, LarryMFWhite@gmail.com. That's as easy as I can make it.
That is easy. Nobody puts the MF in their name except for Larry MF White.
And literally, so like I said, like I'll give anybody a chance. Like you can have 15 minutes of my time anytime, and let's talk and see if there's even an option for me to help you. I might feel you out, and if you're not willing to do the action steps, probably don't need to talk until you know you're ready to commit. But I'll talk with anybody if I can help you out, whether it's aligning for REOs, whether that's using the auction platform, or just converting more of your business that you have now at a higher level. Like I would love to talk to you.
Perfect. I'm going to definitely hit him up, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to be talking here very, very soon, because I think having that map laid out and, you know, just being able to talk. I mean, we do the same thing. We just talk to agents every single day. And to
there's
hear
patterns of success you'll find. There's patterns of success. The people at the top of the food chain, any industry, there's very similar patterns.
Yes.
You don't have to recreate the wheel.
No, and that's what I'm finding. But the cool thing is I'm talking to all these people and figuring out what their individual problems are.
Yeah.
So now I'm able to identify problems, and I'm opening up the doorways to solutions. And that's, to me, game changing. I love just, like I told you, the light bulb. Bling.
Yeah.
So, sir, I'm going to have you light up my light bulb here soon.
It's a cool feeling to kind of give back and help people kind of achieve their goals and stuff at the end of the day.
100%.
Yeah, it's a really cool feeling.
All right. One more question. Who do you think would be a good guest to have on the podcast?
Who would be a good guest to have on the podcast?
Even if they're in Houston, we can do a Zoom video. It's cool.
Yeah. No. So, like, if that auction platform interests you, I actually have like Robert Weichelt that's here in the Houston area. That's literally following that
Here
plan.
in San Diego?
Oh,
I've seen him, yeah. I actually, we talked to him at the EXP event, and I think he's on the schedule to be on the show soon, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one, like, he's literally, I sat down with him because he was running for congressman here in San Diego. Was like, dude, this is too much. Like, it's like not as cool as I thought. Like, there's a lot of mudslinging. Like, this is not what I want. I'm getting back into real estate. We talked to him. He's literally been following the plan and is just crushing it.
Oh, yeah. I see him on Facebook all the time. He is tearing it up.
He had an open house here locally in San Diego. 308 people through it.
Whew.
Because he followed the plan that we set up using the platform.
Yeah, we're talking.
So that would be one for sure.
All right, cool. Well, we're going to tag Robert, and if he's not a guest, we're going to get him on the show as soon as possible. Larry, dude, thanks a lot, man, for coming on the show.
I thought I was going to be able to ask.
Oh, wait,
you said I was going to be able to ask a question there.
See, that's why it's a new segment. We always forget about it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, time to ask the bros. You can ask either one of us a question, business, personal, however it works.
So one of the things that I find interesting among patterns of success is people's morning routine. What does each of your guys' morning routine look like?
Ooh, mine shifts depending on school or not school. So right now I'm up at about 6 o'clock instead of 5 o'clock. I hit the gym, come home. I start journaling. I got my journal sitting right there.
Love it. That's key for any of you guys.
That was a game changer for me.
Right?
That to me has been one of the biggest of all things. Like I know I don't do the meditation, I don't do the affirmations, I probably should, but for me the biggest thing that made the change, and maybe it's because my affirmations and meditation is in the writing.
Sure.
Maybe that's how it works for me. I don't know, but it's definitely get up early, drink a lot of water, workout, and journal.
Love it, dude. Those are probably like 3 of the 6 things that are most common in the patterns of that morning routine. So that's awesome. Touche, bro.
Thank you.
My man.
Saying pretty similar. Working out. I do the meditation. I don't do the journaling.
Okay.
Breakfast is important.
Okay.
Got to have a good bowl of cereal. And yeah, just I guess that's the main part of it, is the working out and the meditation. That's the 2 things.
Okay. So working, but like the goal is that you guys are taking time to work on yourselves.
Yes.
Most people wake up, especially when we have kids, and they're so reactive.
Mm-hmm.
Like if your kids wake you up, you're just responding to other people's problems from day one,
yeah.
And then you have no time to work on yourself.
Actually, there is one thing to add to that. So the moment that I wake up, and this is something that that I just started a month ago, so that's why I forgot about it for a second. As soon as I wake up, before I do anything else, I start like the first 5 minutes just appreciating life. Just appreciation. Just, okay, I'm awake. I started playing this alphabet game, so I'll start with A, and I'll think of words that get me to better feeling thoughts. So I'll start with appreciation and allowing, and then I'll go into B, and I feel brilliant, and everything is bomb. You know, I mean, it's just throwing stuff out there right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, and just keep going through the alphabet for as long as I can
Beautiful.
before I go for the run.
Beautiful. I love it, man.
We have we've had a number of discussions, because he's very much mindset oriented.
Yeah.
Right. And so he's always about, get your mind right. If things are going negative, take a time out, recenter yourself. And me, I'm more of an action guy. I'm like, look, let's just go do this and this. He's like, dude, wait, give me a second. Like,
Yeah.
So we've had conversations all the time. The question I asked you, the person who thinks it all out or the person who takes action, which one would you prefer? Because I'm definitely the action. He's definitely the thinker.
Sure.
And so
Pros and cons to each, right? And at the end of it, it's like, who's most coachable?
Yes.
Right? Like
100%.
who is going to take those experiences, whether you wait a little bit longer to implement or whether you take action right away? How do you learn from that and make it better, faster, stronger, on the next side?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is you work together. So sometimes I'm hitting the gas and he's pumping the brakes, and sometimes it's the other way around. He's hitting the gas and I'm like, whoa, bring it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's a good balance between the two.
That's cool,
For
man. Like it.
Great question.
Yeah. It's always interesting. And so that's one of the things I ask, like, even in some of the interviews that I've had with CEOs of companies and stuff. And they're like, any questions? I'm like, yeah. Like, what's your morning routine look like? Like, what's important to you?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what do you care about outside of business? And that's where I said, like, there's been this big shift in me. It's not like, obviously you're successful. You're the CEO of a company. You're successful in somebody's eyes, right? Like,
yeah.
Again, like, whether you identify as my success or not is totally different. And that's what I need to know if we're going to do business together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the things that I've been saying a lot on the show is defining success. Like for me, one of the words that I'm staying away from, or I'm trying to stay away from, or redefining, is the word retirement. Like, I don't like retirement anymore, because I feel people have put in 30, 40 years at a job, they retire and then they die because they've never had a purpose and they don't have anything to go forward on.
Yeah.
They give up. Like, it's over, okay, and they literally tell themselves it's over. Their body realizes it's over, and then, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things I've been trying to focus, especially with my young people, is what is it, that thing that you wake up for every day? If you wake up in the morning, you hit the snooze button, you're literally telling yourself, I'd rather be unconscious than conscious for my day.
Ooh, that's
right?
deep.
And so
Deep.
if I can figure out what's that thing that makes you happy,
Yeah.
and you learn to generate a revenue around that,
Yeah.
even if you don't make a ton of money, you're going to work till you're 90 because you love that thing.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever it is that you're doing. And, you can define success with a dollar amount and things and all that stuff. But for me, ultimately, it's that, what is it that wakes you up every day?
When you love what you do, it's not work.
Exactly.
Like, I've had this conversation with my wife for the last 6 years. I'm like, damn, I get paid for this. Like, and I get compensated really well for this. Like, and I'm just literally having fun.
Do you have an alarm?
Do I have an alarm? Yes, but I generally wake up 15 to 30 minutes before. Yeah,
like,
so
when you wake up, is it one of those feelings where, like, all right, time to go?
it's go time. Yeah, because it generally I'm on my way to the gym at 4:30 every single morning. Like Jose has came to visit me, and it's like, all right, like let's wake up, Poppy. It's time to go. It's time to go. We got to be there. Like we got to be done by 6 o'clock, because then I got the rest of my morning routine to come after. Let's go.
He took me that day, and I was pumped about it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna work out too with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I saw their work. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm gonna pass out.
It's CrossFit.
It's completely different
I
than
do
from
CrossFit,
yeah, it's
That is
completely
tough,
different than
dude.
from my training.
Yeah.
His is like go
Very,
go,
very
go.
cardio intense.
intense for sure.
Yeah. I've never done CrossFit. I've always seen it, and oh man, it's tough. I've done like Insanities and P90X interval training type stuff, but I have a hard time because if I commit to something, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I haven't had the spot to like commit to the CrossFit yet.
Yeah.
But there will come a time. There will come a time.
Yeah, it's fun, man. Like, it's a great community. Like, I've seen more results in the last 8. Like, I'm more fit now than when I wrestled at ASU in college. Like, I can lift more. I'm faster. I'm stronger. My cardio is better. And as the older I get, the more fit, because you do this open every single year that ranks you around the world. And every year I get more and more fit the older I'm like, dude, this is like reverse aging. Like, this is awesome.
Well, let's think about it. Mentally, I feel like guys don't really age very much. Like,
Right.
you know, we get some maturity along the way, but
Yeah.
I still see myself as like a 21-year-old kid,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes I look in the mirror, I'm like, okay, well, maybe not, but but I feel like it, right?
Yeah.
And no, that's good to know that, you know, maybe I should do CrossFit. I'm not getting any younger.
Might go today?
I'm scared. No, I can't today. I'm not even going to say yes to that today. No.
It's cool. Everybody likes a quitter. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Got me. Well, on that note, we got to quit this show. No, but Larry, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for coming down. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks for all the heads up, and I'm definitely gonna reach out to you because I want to know more about this auction thing.
Absolutely.
100%.
Look forward to it.
So he's gonna, and I gotta put it out there. He's gonna give me a storyline, a little map that I need to follow. So, ladies and gents, time to follow a map. Let's do it.
Don't
Let's do
recreate
it.
the wheel.
Don't recreate the wheel. I'm all for not recreating the wheel. All right, ladies and gents, quick reminder, 365 pairs of shoes by the end of the year. So if you have new, used, cash donation, hit up James 619-884-0045 or james@csfirst.com. And if you have any insurance needs, whether it's life, health, P&C, commercial, whatever it is, or you want to add insurance into your business, hit James up 619-884-0045 or james@csfirst.com. That's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
And we're out. Bye, Facebook.
Yeah, I stopped the Facebook a long time ago because